Everybody knows China is a large country, but not everyone has a good sense of just how far China actually extends. Take Heilongjiang province on the northeastern edge of China. To many, even those living in China, the provincial capital city Harbin already feels like a winter wonderland not far from the frontiers. But in reality, Harbin is still many hundreds of kilometers away from the actual border in all directions. Welcome to Out of Bounds, and in this video, we travel by train to China Railway's Easternmost Station and explore the land where China embraces the first rays of sun each day. China's northeastern region has a long and rich railway heritage. In particular, the metropolis Harbin essentially owes its prosperity to the railways. Although the area had been inhabited for thousands of years, what is today Harbin was just a collection of villages along Songhua River in the late 19th century, a time when China was under pressure from a number of imperialist powers. In 1896, the Russian Empire signed a secret treaty with the then reigning Qing dynasty of China. The treaty allowed Russia to build railways through northeastern China and obtain extraterritorial rights on lands along the route. Russian surveyors chose Harbin to be the headquarters of the China Eastern Railway, and the settlement quickly grew into an international city. Russia and Japan vied for the China Eastern Railway continuously during the first half of 20th century. China was only able to resume exercising full sovereignty over the railway and lands next to it in 1952, after the defeat of Japan in World War II and the establishment of the People's Republic. Even today, Russian cultural influence is still apparent throughout the streets of Harbin, now a megacity with population of 10 million. The Art Nouveau Harbin Railway Station in city center was once the heart of China Eastern Railway. It is still a major station, but we will travel via its grand halls on another day. Instead, today's journey to China's far eastern corner begins at the more modest Harbin Dong, or Harbin East Station. Incidentally, the Harbin Metro Station that accesses Harbin Dong used to be both the northernmost and easternmost metro station in all of China between 2013 and 2021, when newly opened stations in the Harbin Metro system took over the titles. First opened in 1934, Harbin Dong's current station building was constructed in 1984, with the latest renovation done in 2016. There is a standard ticket check and security screening at the entrance. Passengers then go upstairs to wait for trains. The basic amenities are there, but the station only has one fast food restaurant and one convenience store. Definitely feels a bit basic. In addition to passenger rail though, Harbin Dong Station is also a major cargo terminal with its own dedicated cargo border clearance facilities. Our train today is the K7065. This service originates from Harbin Dong Station and will travel 973 kilometers to take us all the way to Fuyuan Station in China's far eastern corner. The train is already waiting for us on platform 2. The K7065 train set uses the common Type 25G cars in dark green livery, though some cars have special decorations on the side. I got a space in the so-called soft sleeper car, with 4-bed compartments in couchette arrangement. Ticket for the lower berth cost me 351 Chinese yuan. The car is obviously not brand new, but it looks to be in good shape. The reading lights work fine. There's a charging port under the table for the compartment to share, which is standard for Chinese soft sleeper trains. There are also charging ports in the hallway. At 1625, the K7065 train departs Harbin Dong Station. Not long after departure, we cross the Songhua River. Originating from the mountains on the China-North Korea border, Songhua River flows 1,897 kilometers through northeastern China before merging into the Heilongjiang, or Amur River. The current bridge we're traveling on opened in 2016. It replaces an adjacent road and rail bridge first constructed in the 1930s, when the area was under de facto Japanese occupation. We're still in the northern vicinity of Harbin, but out the window there are already lots of farmlands. Right now it's cornfields. Later in the trip, we will also see extensive rice fields. At 1643, we pass Fuyuan Station on the northern edge of Harbin. It looks pretty cargo-centric, though a small number of passenger trains stop here as well. Originally opened in 1927, the rail line we're on now was domestically funded and constructed, a relative rarity in an era of Russian and Japanese imperialism. As China famously uses one single time zone across its entire territory, in these eastern parts the sun rises and sets rather early. We're traveling in late September around the autumn equinox, and the sky is pretty much dark by 1730. We are now approaching Fuyuan Station, the first stop on this trip. Fuyuan is an important agricultural city in central Heilongjiang province with 3.7 million residents. Though, as is common with many localities in this area, its population has a downward trend, as young people tend to move to larger cities for better opportunities. After Fuyuan, our train switches onto the Sui-Jia line, which runs 382 kilometers between Fuyuan and the city of Jiamusi to the east. This section was originally planned and built as part of the Japan-led South Manchuria Railway between 1936 and 1941. Initially single track, the railway was upgraded to mostly double track by the 1960s. After Tieli Station, the train enters mountainous terrain in the Lesser Kingan Range. Though of course it is too dark outside to see much. On the other side of the mountains, the train is now approaching Jiamusi Station. With 2.2 million inhabitants, Jiamusi is the largest city on the eastern edge of Heilongjiang province. It is also a major transportation hub where a number of railways come together. Our train, in fact, will do a locomotive change here. This 4,100 horsepower DF11 diesel electric unit will pull us the rest of the way. With the locomotive change finished, let's get back to the train and get some rest. Good morning from the middle of Sanjiang Plain. Sanjiang in Chinese means three rivers, referring to the Amur, the Ussuri, and the Songhua rivers. This area has large stretches of wetlands and marshes. Combined with the extreme climate in the winter, historically it could not support large population and was used as a destination of exile. In the later decades of 20th century, a state-led persistent land reclamation project transformed the area into one of China's most important agricultural regions, with major crops being soybeans, wheat, and rice. We are in fact passing these endless rice fields right before their October harvest, where the sea of heavy rice ears looks like a thick golden carpet. By the way, this is just past 5 o'clock in the morning and the sky is already very much bright. At 6:05, we make the penultimate stop at Hanconggo Station. This railway stretching into China's far eastern corner opened only in 2011. In addition to passenger traffic, much of the grain produced here also ships out via the railway. We will be seeing many of China's easternmost landmarks from here on out. Do you see a tower in the distance? It is the control tower of Fuyuan Dongji Airport. Opened in 2014, this easternmost commercial airport in China is about 18.5 kilometers from the town of Fuyuan and 60 kilometers from the far eastern tip of China. At 6:43, we pass through Fuyuan Dong Station. This is technically the easternmost train station in all of China, though no passenger trains stop here as it is a cargo-only station. Right after Fuyuan Dong Station, we round the easternmost railway tracks in China, then curve slightly to northwest for the final stretch into Fuyuan. At 7 o'clock, the K7065 pulls into Platform 1 of its final stop Fuyuan Station, completing the 973-kilometer journey in 14 hours 35 minutes of actual time. Like me, it looks like many people are quite excited to be at this easternmost passenger station in China. From the train station, let's hop on a shuttle to Fuyuan's bus terminal, then go on a day tour to see China's actual easternmost lands. The town of Fuyuan is located on flat plains near the confluence of Heilongjiang and Ussuri. Population of the town is about 80,000. Because of the rivers, fishing is big in Fuyuan. There is a large fish market in town center, and many of the local dishes feature fish. We arrive at the Fuyuan bus terminal in about 30 minutes. There is a bit of time before the day tour bus departs, so let's walk around. We reach the banks of Heilongjiang in about 15 minutes. There is actually a pretty sizable border crossing port here. It looks empty now, but apparently there are international ferries that connect Fuyuan with several destinations over on the Russian side, including Khabarovsk about 60 kilometers downstream. We can get a better look at the pier from the riverside promenade. We are now standing on the south shore of Heilongjiang, or Amur River. Over on the other side is the wilderness of Russian Far East. Well, it's almost time for the tour, so let's head back. The bus will take us on a day tour to several sites near China's eastern extremity. On the way east, we pass through several farms, one of which was personally visited by Chinese leader Xi Jinping in 2016. In addition to rice, cranberry is also grown in the area since 2014. The cranberry stock was originally imported from North America. Since 2022, China's space program has transported over 400,000 seeds to orbit in an effort to select for desirable mutations. Today, these space cranberries thrive in the fields of Fuyuan, now the largest producer of cranberries in all of Asia. In less than an hour, we reached the Dongji Plaza. Jutting out at the confluence of the Ussuri and a branch of Heilongjiang called the Fuyuan Waterway, this is the easternmost tip of the mainland on Chinese side. To the south across the Ussuri is the Russian village Kazakevichevo. To the north across the Fuyuan Waterway is Heixiazi Island, also known as Bolshoi Ussuriski Island in Russian. The eastern sector of the China-Russia border has changed shape many times in its long and complex history. In ancient times, various hunting and fishing peoples native to this area formed relations with successive Chinese dynasties, ranging from loose alliance to direct imperial rule. In the 17th century, Russian Cossacks during their conquest of Siberia came into contact with the Qing dynasty of China. After a series of military conflicts, the Qing repulsed Russian forces at the Battle of Albazin, and the two sides concluded the Treaty of Nerchinsk in 1689. It is the first time China formalized its border in more or less the modern sense through an international treaty. The Treaty of Nerchinsk established the China-Russia border along the outer Khingan Range, also known as the Stanovoy Mountains, meaning nearly all of Heilongjiang's drainage basin, including lands along all the rivers we see now, would be Chinese territory. There, the border stayed for more than a century and a half. By the mid-19th century, the Qing Empire would face a litany of crises, both external and internal. As the Qing fell on the back foot during the Second Opium War against Britain and France, Russia pressed for territories south of the Stanovoy Mountains. This culminated in the 1858 Treaty of Aigun and 1860 Treaty of Peking, by which China ceded nearly 1 million square kilometers of land to Russia, making Heilongjiang and Ussuri border rivers. This would have been particularly difficult to swallow for the Qing court, not only because of the sheer size of the territorial loss, but also because Outer Manchuria was the ancestral homeland of the Manchu people, from which the Qing royal family and much of the nobility came from. Both China and Russia would see their imperial regimes toppled in the early 20th century, but the territorial conflict would continue. Remember the China Eastern Railway? In 1929, in an attempt to nationalize the Soviet-controlled CER, the Northeastern Army of the Republic of China began forcibly seizing railway assets and expelling Russian personnel. The Soviet Union counterattacked and, in the course of defeating the Northeastern Army, also occupied Heixiazi Island. Unequal as the 1858 and 1860 treaties may have been, according to their terms, Heixiazi Island still should have been entirely Chinese territory, so China continued to contest for it, but for the remainder of the 20th century, the island would be under Russian control, making the land under Dongji Plaza the de facto easternmost tip under Chinese administration for decades. This long-running dispute finally came to a settlement in 2004, when the two countries agreed to split Heixiazi Island, with China recovering the western half and Russia retaining the eastern half. The demarcation completed in 2008 and is readily visible from Dongji Plaza. Across the water on Heixiazi Island, a Russian Orthodox church stands within earshot of a Chinese PLA station. A bridge connecting the mainland to Heixiazi Island opened in 2012, through which we will travel onto the island. The Wusu Bridge spans 1,600 meters across the Fuyuan waterway, from which Dongji Plaza is visible in the distance. The island on China's side remains largely marshy. There is no permanent settlement except for a couple of PLA stations. As such, most of it is designated as a nature reserve. The only remnant of the previous Russian presence here is a former military barracks near the southern edge of the island. Walking into the buildings is like entering a portal to a different world. It's kind of strange to imagine these rundown rooms used to house active Soviet Red Army personnel. And who knows what went through the minds of the soldiers who once served here. Not far behind the barracks, a boardwalk allows visitors to enter a corner of the wetland. This lotus pond would probably look quite nice during summer. As you can see, weather now is less than ideal, but as the sun peers through the clouds, there is all of a sudden a wonderful rainbow. May this easternmost rainbow of China bring peace and good luck to everyone who sees it. The island's name, Heixiazi, literally means black and blind. Don't you think it's kind of a strange name? Well, it's actually a local term for black bears, which are of course black and have very poor eyesight. They are said to have once roamed the forest and swamps here. I'm not sure if any still live in the wild, but there is a small safari park where you can see them in action.
把您的手掌安全留在车内，及130公顷。由游客服，咱们岛上的熊主要以亚洲黑熊为主，岛上最活跃的种可达200公斤，这个重量却只是棕熊体重的。
熊把我们看见，就发车了，大家伙都遵守点时间。
The bears are well fed, but I'm still hungry. Good thing the island has a pretty nice visitor center where you can grab lunch. I didn't get a chance to have fish in Fuyuan, so let's order a dish of fish dumplings. There is also a post office here where you can buy some souvenirs. And yes, this is indeed the easternmost post office of China. After the 2004 border settlement, China built 2 military outposts on the island, with the northern one right on the easternmost corner of Chinese territory. These are military restricted areas, of course, but just a few hundred meters behind the northern outpost is a large tower. This Dongji Pagoda is the bona fide easternmost landmark civilian visitors can reach. It is a modern creation, but incorporates many elements of traditional architecture in its design. Many auspicious pillars line the entry to the pagoda. Around the base of the pagoda, there is a ring of sculpted reliefs depicting famous people and episodes from Chinese history. There is also an exhibition hall with mock-ups and descriptions of other famous towers throughout China. The Dongji Pagoda itself has 9 levels, each 9 meters high for a total height of 81 meters. On normal days, visitors can go up to the 6th level, where a great view awaits. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this journey to China's remote yet fascinating easternmost point. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more travel and transit content. Have a good day and see you in the next one.